Welcome to the CATERHAMS Dutch cousin. Because for 20 points this week, you can go ahead and grab yourself the Donkervoort D8 GTO from 2013. Or to you and I, the Dutch kazoo. From stock, this thing has 375 brake horsepower, 350 foot-pounds of torque, while weighing 1,532 pounds. So it's very, very light and very powerful. I've got to say, from the front, it looks, well, I don't really know what the right way is to, describe that thing. Going to the side, it's not too bad, and then going to the back, it genuinely does just look like somebody's got the Caterham and just made it a bit bigger. Going to the inside, we've got ourselves more dials and gauges than I think any human mind could ever be prepared for. And then going up front, we've got a digital dash, which also says Donkervoort GTO on it, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And now let's go ahead and take a listen. Right, here we are now over in the upgrade shop. We're going to jump straight to conversion and see what we have for this thing. We do have an engine swap available, and it is the 3-litre V8 racing engine, producing a whopping 475 brake horsepower, of which putting in this thing would probably turn it into a death trap. If you want, you can also go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive as well, with this thing being very light and open-wheel. That's probably your best choice if you want to survive while driving this thing. As for aero and appearance, going to the front, we of course have just got ourselves a little bit of your typical little Forza splitter right there. And then going to the back, what have we got? We've just got a gigantic Forza wing, which essentially makes this thing look just like a little bit of an oversized go-kart. In the meantime, our wonderful mechanic Mac is back once again with a brand new tune for us. So let's go ahead and also bring up the share code very quickly. There we go. Feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. And now I'm going to go ahead, install it and see what we've got. So with these upgrades installed, we're now at 1,271 pounds in weight with nearly 420 brake horsepower right at the top of S1. So with that tune installed, now we go ahead and take a look at the paints for this thing. We've got nothing in advance, which is a bit of a shame, but going to manufacturer paints, we actually have a few for this thing. We've got ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different paint to go through, and I've got to say the red kind of matches, I want to say it matches the wheels, so you know what, we're going to go with that. Now, a fun fact as to why I called it the Dutch kazoo earlier is because it is just that. So it was built all the way over in the good old Netherlands out in Europe, which probably explains why I've not seen one yet, but I'd like to. Lights out and away we go. Let's go ahead and see what we can do with this thing. Apparently I've been told it can get very tail happy indeed, but let's go ahead and see what we can do with this thing. We've got all the aero we could ever possibly need, or well, all the aero we can basically have in this game for this thing. We've got a decent amount of power. I've noticed this thing has also been made all-wheel drive, just for, I guess, ease of being able to drive it and not, fly off a cliff at 100 miles an hour. We also got ourselves 7 gears apparently, but let's go ahead and see it. Can we get past anybody up here? We can. Up into fourth we go. On the brakes, excuse me Morris, get out of my way! Now, if you ever wanted to try and grab one of these, then, well, I wish you the very best of luck, because apparently, although the numbers are pretty much all over the place for this car, back when they were first ever made in 2013 of this specific model, the D8 GTO, there are only 25 ever made, and there is also rumours of a brand new Donkervoort in the works as well. Although if you wanted to pick up a D8 GTO, the average prices are roughly around 102,000 euros. Which is this in other currencies. So if you ask me, a little bit on the expensive side, but, well, I mean, would you pay that for this thing? Let me know. And now 95%, one more turn to go. You know how this goes already. A slight clonk off the wall and across the line we go with a very nice first place in the kazoo with a time of 1 minute 54. So you know what, that was actually a pretty good show from this thing, and now let's go ahead and go from one show to another because it's time to go backstage to see what's up for the vote this week. We've got ourselves the Pagani Huayra and the Lucid Air Sapphire versus the Noble M600 and the Porsche Taycan, whatever CT stands for, 2023. I've got to say, they're really not good votes this week. I might just sit back and watch. What would you vote for? Let me know in the comments. Now, this is usually where I throw in the drag team, but I'm going to mention very quickly that there's a full sketch version of this that's just been made by Macintosh as I've been making this video. So here is the share code. Feel free to go ahead and grab that. And, well, if you want a full sketch experience, then that's the tune for you. In the meantime, it's our turn to go ahead and throw together a little drag team for this thing and see just how chaotic it really can be. We are going to throw in the, racing V8. We're also going to go ahead and make this thing a twin turboed as well, up to 622 brake horsepower, all-wheel drive, because I'd quite like to survive driving this thing. We'll also go ahead and throw on some drag tyres too, and make them a little bit wider at the front, all the way up to 245s there, and all the way up to 295s right at the back. And then let's go chuck some more power in it. Right, so after all the tuning, the stats are now looking very scary at 1,175 pounds with 774 brake horsepower. And now the fun part of where I've got to go ahead and tune the whole thing. Oh, this is going to be fun. Alright, here we are now over at the back of the festival. My internet's telling me that apparently it doesn't want to work, but let's go ahead and get a wheelie check out of this thing. Do we get anything? Not really, but I feel like this thing could actually be pretty decent when it comes to drag racing. Or at least, I really hope so. Either way, I guess we're about to find out, so let's go ahead and get ourselves on some launch control, and away we go. Let's go ahead and see what we get out of this thing. It's going to be very interesting indeed. This thing doesn't have much power, but it is very light indeed. Let's go ahead and see what we get through the camera. Go through at a whopping 202, and off the end of the runway at around 214 miles an hour, and still no brakes. I guess some things really never do change. I am just going to go and save that tune though, just really quickly. And so we go from that to this. Let's go ahead and try out the full sketch tune. Let's go ahead and actually install it and see just what we're going to work with. Is it a bad idea installing this for a top speed run? Yes. Am I going to do it anyway? You betcha. You know, the stats are down, but something tells me the sketch factor is going to be a lot higher. In the meantime, here is this week's Forza shop for the week. We've got ourselves the Rimac Nevera, Backstage Pass, Senko's Tank Top, the Apollo IE, which is a pretty good car to get, and also the Gone Car Horn, which sounds a bit like this. Very nice indeed. Anywho, now we've got ourselves the Horizon Super Wheel Spin, the regular wheel spin, and a chance to take a rather sketchy tuned Donkervoort out to the motorway. And of course, now it's time for everybody's favourite game of how close can we get to the grate on that little bit of the motorway. Let's go ahead and see how close have we gotten today. I really don't know, but I'm trying to waffle, so hopefully this loading screen might go away and we can see how far we've got. And we have got ourselves, I think we might have gone past it. Yeah, we went past it again. Right, back this way I go. Oh, hello Zenvo, how are you doing today? Anywho, now we are here over at the edge of the motorway. Let's go ahead and get ourselves on launch control, and away we go with the Donkervoort D8. I don't know how else is going to do the full sketch tune, but it is very all over the place. Hopefully we might get a decent top speed out of this thing. I know it's got a lot of aero, which is definitely going to affect the top speed massively, but let's go ahead and see what we get. And what we get is 189 miles an hour and a quick diversion back to the festival. In the meantime, while I've been trying to figure out that tune, another one's been uploaded called Wheel Good by Mac. Let's go ahead and bring up the share code to that as well. Feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. But I've got some amendments to make to this one. And while we're here, let's go ahead and change the colour too. There we go, that's better. And now time for round 2 of Have I Made It to the Motorway Grate? And the answer is, well, still no. Right, the sun is setting, so on launch control we go, and away we go very quickly to try and find this thing's true top speed. True top speed, true top speed. You know what, words are tricky, okay? And through we go, 221.46 going through the speed zone, downhill, and speed camera still to go. So let's go ahead and see what we get. And through the camera, 222.81 going downhill, 223, 224, 225. Do we get 226? We do. I don't think we'll get anything above that though. Nope, just 226. Not too bad, but now we've got to go ahead and start swinging this thing a bit sideways. Right, time to see how good this thing is at drifting. Let's go ahead and throw this thing into the drift zone. That's a little early on my part, but oops. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Aiming for 30,000 at absolute minimum, and I think we're going to very much excel that at 39,981. And only one slight wall tap. And now it's time for round number 2 at 39.9 thousand to beat. Can we do it? I don't know if we can, but let's go ahead and see what we can do. Anyway, we are very sideways, and we do beat that. 41,428 points. Which out of a tiny go-kart like this is really good. However, as the sun sets over Mexico, it also sets over this video as well, because that is the Donkervoort D8 GTO. What a car it is, or what a, I guess, kazoo it is. Oh dear me, it is honestly, it's worth picking up. Only at 20 points and shouldn't take up too much of your time indeed. Unlike that Mercedes, which took up all of the road. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. And as ever, thanks for watching. Tech out. See ya! Now, what to do next week?